Yo, what's up guys? It's been about 3 months since I was introduced to Dota 2 and I started playing, and I've had so much fun with it. I went from unranked to 680 MMR in my placements into Herald 5, and currently I am High Crusader. That's the third league for those that don't know what that means. Yes, it's true, Crusader right here. Still below the average of the Dota 2 players. I'm going to be making a list here of my top 5 favorite game mechanics so far in Dota 2. You know, not everything about Dota 2 was new to me because I have played a MOBA before, and Dota 2 of course is the son, or daughter if you will, of Warcraft 3, which I was a little bit of a pro in. So some of the things I am familiar with, but some things not so much. So let's start with point number 1. Smoke of Deceit. It probably took me a couple of dozen games, I don't want to say 100 games, a couple of dozen games before I was able to see through the woods, away from just the pure mechanics of the game, my character, trying to learn the heroes, trying to navigate around the map, and trying to find out what is happening when I'm smoked. So when I am smoked of Deceit, I'm faster, I will be invisible, I am invisible to everything, including Dust of Appearance, Sentry Ward, Broad Daylight, just invisible. And it's only when you get near someone that you become visible again. Last 35 seconds, I think you're 15% faster during it, and it can be cast on a group, and it's 50 gold. And it takes quite a while to respawn, and there's 3 at the starting stock, 2 actually pre-game, and then eventually there's a maximum of 3 in the stock of the shop. Now, why do I like Smoke of Deceit so much? Well, it seems to break the impasse, the potentially tight game state where both teams have a defender's advantage. It's a really important mechanic to circumvent known high likelihood vision points from observer ward coverage, sentry ward coverage and whatnot, units, summons, like anything really, even illusions like arc warden copy, an illusion rune copy, manta style copy, anything really. So you can bypass all that. You have this illusion of safety on the other side, and you can move as a group, either the full group or a partial group, and sneak up on someone. And the moment the smoke breaks, if it's before the 35-second mark, you know someone is near. And if you have a good idea of it, you can immediately blink in that direction and try to catch them and take them out. And the reason I like it is because it's an important comeback mechanic. Comeback mechanics are important in games because if you don't have comeback mechanics, then the moment that any team is ahead, you can declare them the winner, which means that Dota 2 games would last 5 minutes. If it takes 15 minutes to close a foregone conclusion game out, then you have a lead in 5 minutes and then you have a 15-minute death animation. That's kind of pointless. So you want to have some comeback mechanics in any good game so that the gameplay loop is interesting all throughout and all the way to the end, but also the start and the middle. And you don't want to have too strong of a comeback mechanic to the point where you say, well, doesn't matter if you've got a good early game or a good, or a bad early game. Eventually, it all comes down to a single team fight at the end, and that's going to decide the game. So both of these situations are extreme versions that suck. And I think Smoke of Deceit does a good job of being a limited supply resource that can be utilized for a team to make a comeback. But it can also very much be used to increase the size of a lead. So it's a flexible tool. It's very cool. Sometimes you'll use it by yourself. Sometimes you can buy all 3 and keep using them to go to the lane quicker as a position 1. That's probably griefing. Don't do that. But yeah, it is a publicly available resource, and if you use it well, then it can be a fearsome tool and a very useful tool. Number 2 of my top 5 favorite game mechanics in Dota 2 right now. Glyph of Fortification. Without Glyph of Fortification, if you have a successful team fight and you take everyone down, you can just steam dose, bulldoze, steamroll, steam dose. You could steam dose, I guess, if you wanted to. I don't know what that is. You could bulldoze straight to the enemy Ancient, take down Tower 1, Tower 2, Tower 3, the Tier 4s and the Ancient a little bit too fast. I believe that without the Glyph of Fortification, which probably there were metas in the past, patch versions in the past of Dota 2 that I didn't play with personally. If you didn't have Glyph of Fortification, you could win a fight at the river, 70-second death timer, and kill the throne. Right? If you also don't factor in buybacks, which we'll get to later. So I like Glyph. It just, when used tactfully, you can get some pretty good results, kind of slow it down, and give another chance for the other team to come back and not lose all too much. One of the biggest mistakes I've seen for Glyph, that I'm also guilty of sometimes, is that when you're down to your tier 3 towers with the barracks on all 3 points, that you lose the tower after glyphing. Like you glyph, you lose the tower, and then people glyph again to protect the barracks. Even though all 5 enemies are alive and you still have 30 second death timer on 4 guys. That's kind of pointless, because Glyph does invulnerability and it does the shooting back with the tower. And in case it's not a tier 1, it has an AoE shoot back. So glyphing for the barracks to delay their death for 5 seconds and they're still gonna die, it sucks, because now you ain't got no glyph for your other towers at the barracks, or for your tier 4s if they get cheeky and try to take those down. So I have pressed that button before. Don't press that button. It's almost never worth it unless you're confident that you'll respawn in time to actually save the now exposed barracks. But again, a tool that can be used creatively, and I think it has a good impact on the game. Point number 3. 2K advice, yes. Point number 3. Buyback mechanic and the buyback delay. So the purpose of buyback is familiar to me from Warcraft 3, where you can also buy back heroes. In Warcraft 3, if you buy back, you get half HP and no mana. So that's a big downside, because if you normally retrain a hero, then you get full HP and 100 mana. It's also twice as expensive when you use the buyback mechanic. So all in all, it's a pretty big penalty. But unlike in Dota 2, in Warcraft, you can keep rebuying the same hero over and over and over. And that may seem wasteful because you keep feeding XP and gold to the opponent. Well, you're losing gold, you're feeding XP. But in the case of, let's say, a player like Happy, where he has a Lich with an Orb of Corruption and 3 claws, he's gonna rebuy that no matter what. Like, he would sell his own house in order to rebuy that Lich over and over and over. What I like about the Dota 2 version of buyback is that you only get one chance. Well, you only get 2 chances. You only get one chance to buy back, that is. And then it's on a, 7-8 minute lockout? Which means that if you do manage to kill an enemy hero, they can buy back once. At great penalty to their farming speed, right? They take a step back in their farming speed because they just lost a lot of money. But more importantly than that, you know that if you kill them a second time, this time it's for real. Unless it's Vengeful Spirit with Aghanim Scepter or Wraith King. But the point is, this time it's for real. They're dead. And then you can actually end off of it. And if you keep in mind who did a buyback, that's great. That's good. And the reason that I do think it's nice to have a buyback in general, because you could argue, why have buyback at all? The reason I like it is because there are certain problems in Dota 2 that can be solved by having buyback. For instance, Chronosphere from Faceless Void, or Black Hole from Enigma, or that Chad Lich that I lost to yesterday, who blinks in, gets a 4-man death gaze, then ping-pongs us with the blue ball around the Ice Spire, and we all die to a support. That was a little bit embarrassing, but it only happened 7 times, so it wasn't that bad. Anyway, I commended that guy, unironically. The point is, if you do die to a big wombo combo ultimate ability, then you can buy back. So part of the solution to Black Hole can just be to accept your fate, buy back, and know that they now don't have their ultimate cooldown available. Except if they have Refresher Shard. But we don't talk about that, or Refresher Orb. We don't talk about that. And of course there are other ways. There's Aeon Disc, right? But yeah. So this buyback existence and the delay are both things that I really enjoy in how they affect gameplay. Point number 4, my 4th in the top 5. Unironically, last hitting and denying. Many people that play other MOBAs, they may feel like they got away from Dota 2 because they didn't enjoy the sweatiness, the sweaty nervousness of the ever important last hitting, creeps and denies. But as a Warcraft 3 player and as me, not just because I played Warcraft, but just just me, my soul. I like it. I think it's really fun. I could still get better in it, but who can't? Point me at the person who can't get any better at last hitting anymore. You point at it now, and I will worship the feet that they ground on. The ground that they walk on. Oh, there's a lot of people in chat actually that are perfect. That's nice. So yeah, I really enjoy the last hitting denies. It makes every part of the laning really relevant. It makes laning feel more relevant, very weighty, and it adds a great level of skill distinction and variability that makes every game feel unique. And the last and final point, backdoor protection and how to disable it. I still remember my first or second game ever was on Juggernaut, and I was so powerful, and I started hitting their tier 2 tower. I was a little bit shocked at how little damage it took. It had a little shield over it that to my newbie eyes must have just seemed like anything really. And I had this kind of blue glaze. My eyes glazed over as I was like, this tower isn't dying. I was like, what's going on? I have insane damage now. Check this out, Titan Silver.
Your death approaches.
Why is it regenerating so fast?
I'm under attack.
Buyback protection. Oh, a high amount of regeneration and armor or something when no creeps are near, within a certain invisible threshold. So you guys probably know what it is, but it took me some time to figure out exactly how it works. But I love it. It makes lane creeps feel important and relevant all throughout the game. Not just at the start, and not just at the end where mega creeps can actually kill supports if you don't pay attention. Right? It shouldn't happen, obviously, but you know, what stays in Herald stays in Herald. The point is, creeps eventually become an afterthought, like the zombies in The Walking Dead. And now it's about other settlements and evil humans, no longer about the walkers. Even kids can kill walkers now in Season 11. And they're there just to kind of like flowers in a florist shop. It's like they're there, there's many different ones, but they're not lethal. They're just nice to look at. And sometimes someone dies, but it's more for the plot. The point is, that's Walking Dead, that's a segue. The creeps, they aren't that scary anymore, and you can kill them very easily and more rapidly as your farming items go up and up. But here they actually matter, because you can almost not kill a tower without their presence. So it is now important to push out the creep waves, not just for the gold, not just for the vision, not just for the XP, but also to enable the disabling of backdoor protection. And I like that mechanic. That also means there's counterplay. The opponent can send a ninja to your creep waves. Not the first one that's coming, not where the waves are clashing. No, deep into the ocean. Deep between your tier 3 and your tier 2. And they can start cutting waves. Maybe all 3 of them if they're Naga Siren and have more fingers on the keyboard and mouse than most players. Like Naga Siren, sweaty illusions everywhere cutting the waves. Now suddenly no more creep waves are arriving at Radiant side. And you've done a good job of enabling backdoor protection. Gives a lot of space to the team. So that's really cool. And so there's play and counterplay, and when there's play and counterplay and they are in good balance, then I think that's a really good game mechanic. And I enjoy it. And I enjoy this game. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Bye.